my salon wasn't thriving, and neither was I. So by about year 3, I'd become the busiest person in the business, solving everyone's problems, working longer hours than I'd ever planned, and quietly burning out. I thought, that's not what I want. That's not success. That's not what it looks like. I discovered that there was a completely different way to build a salon. This is my burnout confession. I think you'll be amused. And it's the driving force behind why I do what I do with salon owners today. I hope you enjoy.
Sorry to interrupt. At the end of this month, I'm hosting the next masterclass in my 25-hour salon owner series. So if you're a salon, spa, clinic owner with 4 or more on team members, and you're ready to, 1, attract A-grade clients and team members that you'll love working with every day, deliver a full and remarkable solution for every client, every visit. That includes rebooking and home care. And you're ready to convert your team into a machine that supports you every day rather than leaving you drained, then this is for you. So click on the link in the show notes or scan the QR code to reserve your place. Now, back to the episode. Welcome, everybody. I feel really passionate about this topic because it's sad. It's actually really sad that a lot of us burn out before we really get to the top of the mountain we're climbing. And I love it when someone has a business and a life, and it's very doable. It's doable for you and it's doable for me. If I go back to the very beginning, I remember my first business coach thought that I could be a business coach. And I thought, no, I'm not really interested in, helping a mechanic or helping other trades and things. It's not that I couldn't help them. It's just that it wasn't my core business. I wanted to just help salon owners. It was just what I wanted to do. So when he proposed that to me, that I could perhaps niche in the hair and beauty space, like we're going back a long time, and I think there was probably only 1 or 2 that I knew that were business coaches in our space. And so I remember thinking that I just didn't have what I thought people would want. And it was really good because Bruce understood that what I had was what people wanted. He said, you have a business that you don't have to be there. It works and makes money when you're not there. I said, yeah, but I haven't cut on stage, or I haven't done any of those. Like, I didn't know how to speak to people in a corporate space. And so I was quite afraid to sort of come out and publicly say what I did in my business. But what I've learned is what I did and what I worked out is what we want. We want a business that isn't a mill around our neck. It isn't like you can't have 5 minutes to yourself without someone calling you. And I think I had a lot of entrepreneur gene in me. I just did. I was talking this morning in my Salon Mentor program, and I was saying how, like, where does our money story come from? And so why do we think like we do about money? And I said, I have sold cigarettes, which is really not good. My dad smoked Rothmans, and he used to leave packets of cigarettes lying around the house that had 2 or 3 in it, because if he was going to go out, he wouldn't take that packet that had 2 or 3. He'd take a brand new packet. So he'd leave that packet. And that's how I started smoking, because I thought, oh, wonder what smoking's like. And so I would there was 2 or 3 in the packet. I'd just take one. That's how I started smoking. Not proud of it. I was in primary school, for God's sake. And so what I did was, the cigarettes were too strong. I don't know if they even make Rothmans now, but they were like they had a bit of grunt in them, Rothmans. And I can remember that all the cool kids were smoking Alpine. That was the thing. Well, I didn't have a free source of Alpine, did I? I only had a free source of Rothmans. So what I did was I used to put a pinhole in them and let some air in, right? I was in primary school, and then I'd take them to school, and I didn't sell them for money, but I swapped them for a halter neck top. And I remember my first bra, I swapped the girl. I remember her name was Tanya, and I swapped her. She had older sisters, and she got me a bra, and she got half a dozen of my dad's Rothmans. I'm not proud of it, but that's how I was wired. I was a businesswoman that happened to take on a salon because I loved people. I loved the way that I felt when someone looked after me and there's a story about that you'll read in my book, but when I went into a salon as a kid, I was 19 or something, and I went into this salon and she listened to me and she just gave me this amazing haircut. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. I thought I had shit hair. Don't answer that. I've got amazing curly hair, but I didn't know how to manage it. And so I'm trying to flatten it, and it was a disaster. And this girl listened to me, and that's why I became a hairdresser. But what I also didn't understand is that I had this innate entrepreneur problem-solving gene. And sometimes I come across salon owners who don't have that as strong as me. Well, let's be honest, most of them. But they have this wonderful desire to please people and to create a lovely community where their clients feel, seen and heard, and they get their needs met. But they don't have that, the business side, right? The business side that says we're going to have to raise the prices, and not on that, but on this. And then they know the profitability of every service that they sell. That stuff came easy to me. That stuff came really easy to me. And what else came easy to me was being able to teach someone else to do the thing that I was doing, so I didn't have to do it. Like I'm a person who gets bored really easy, and I often am heard saying, Jamie Oliver is not chopping his own onions, love. Somebody's chopping his onions. So I was always thinking, who could do this? And I was just a born, as my dad would say, you're a born foreman, Lise. You're always looking out to see who can do that job for you. I don't want to do it forever. I don't want to trim somebody's hair forever. I don't want to put on a tint forever. Anyone can do that. What are you doing? Come here. My partner, Simon, now I don't colour my hair, but when I did, he used to put my colour on. I said, you can do it. He said, it's not that hard. I said, no, it's not. And so I'd be trying to look at what he's doing, and he goes, I'm getting it. And he used to hit me with the brush like this. And I go, just paint it. He goes, I'm still a second-year apprentice. Leave me alone. He never actually graduated because I stopped colouring my hair and let it grow out. But we'd be on holidays and he'd be touching up my roots for me, because I believe you can teach people to do whatever you want to. But the trick is you need someone who wants to learn. And that's where I think we are guilty at hiring people that don't want to learn. We don't make the time to teach them, and that's just not good. Nothing's going to happen. And when you keep going, oh, better I do it, that lady wants me, I'll do it, then you're really stuck. And that's the sad thing, that it's so hard for so many of you to give over clients. I've been doing that client for 10 years or 15 years. I go, I know, but at any point she cannot come back. So I don't know, like, you be the only person in her world that can do that for her. I think that's very narrow thinking. So there's lots of ways you can do it, but I just thought when I got my first salon, the plan was to work on my own. I just thought, you know what? I worked for this man for 16 years and I absolutely loved him. I loved him and I loved my job, but it got to the stage where he lost a bit of interest, I believe. He was, I don't know if he's 50 or not, but he started to lose a bit. Yeah, whatever. People do that to you, and became quite jilted. Is that the word? Jolted, I don't know, but he was a bit shitty. And I just thought, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to think that clients are annoying. I didn't think clients were annoying. I loved it. Whereas he just goes, yeah, just same again. His name was Sam. Same again, Sam. So I left and I wanted to work closer to my children. So I thought, you know what? There was about 12 on team. I had no training in looking after people, but I seemed to be the manager. Why? Because I was his favourite, but I had no skills. So he really set me up to fail. And then I just thought, I don't want to do this. I don't want to come in and sort out problems. I just want to look after my clients. But what we do is we often promote the person who's the most loyal, who makes the most money. We give her no skills and we wonder why she fails. That was my classic story. So here I am. I got this tiny little salon and I put a dividing wall, and I decided that the children could come after school and be out the back. And I even had a fold-up bed in case someone was sick. I had all that sorted because my children mattered. I think I was only there about 3 months. We had to pull out the wall because I needed more room, because someone came in and said, are you looking for team? I'm thinking, well, I've got more clients than I can do. And then an apprentice showed up, and it just was an accidental success. And then I got to about year 3 and I thought, well, this is not good. They all want me. Like, hello, why do they want me? And it wasn't so much that I was a wonderful hairdresser. It was because I had really good people skills and I just made people feel happy and wonderful, and I was always in a good mood. I was never in a bad mood, and I could flick a switch and talk to a tradie, and then I could flick a switch and talk to Nana and swap a recipe for something, and then I could look after a teenager who was going on a first date and was nervous, and all of that. Young mums, I could just do it. Like, I just love people. And so what I realized was it wasn't so much the technical skills of how to cut and color hair, but it was how to be accommodating, how to make things really clear, how to do a consultation as fast as you can, but as clear as you can. Whereas I'm thinking, oh my God, you're there for 20 minutes and you're still talking, and all you've done is confuse her now. So they were the skills that I needed to teach. And I just worked them out naturally. I just had a talent for, okay, so what you're telling me is yes or no. I'd close it down with a yes or no question. Or in the beginning, I'd say, so if you had one word, how you'd like to feel when you leave today, what would that word be? Beautiful, happy, excited, I don't know, whatever it is, but that would give me more information. And then, okay, so I've got it right. The reason you're here today is because you're going to a wedding, your sister-in-law's there who you can't stand, and you want to walk into that room and her go, wow, that's what you want, right? So I could bring it in, I could dial it to a wider information, I could narrow it down, and I just did it naturally. That was it. So what I didn't realize is that people weren't like me. I only had my brain. I only had my version of the world. And it wasn't until I started coaching people that I realized that people got worn out. So I got worn out about year 3, but I thought, someone's got to know the answer because this is bullshit. Who signed me up for this rodeo? There's a pony I don't want to even be on, never alone a bull. So I'm just the problem solver. And my first coach I ever went to, his wife taught my kids at school. And she was a chatty, nutty fruitcake. I love her. She's still my friend today. I call her ugly because she says to me, how are you, ugly? And I say, yeah, good, ugly. My kids go, you can't call someone ugly. I said, oh, we just do. That's what we do. Like, she's just, instead of saying, how are you, beautiful, she calls you ugly. And she's in my phone under you, ugly. Her name's Sue. So I knew, because I had this fear that I didn't know the back end and the numbers and all of that stuff. And so I was so worried that I'd look silly. But I thought, if Bruce puts up with her and she's as mad as a cut snake, then he's going to be able to cope with me. And so what I didn't know is I had a lot of insecurities about running the business and the back end. And before then, my husband did it. So I didn't have to do anything. I just, here's the money, give it to him, and he'd sorted it out because it didn't interest me. I just love the people and I love doing what I'm doing. Now, the problem with that is that's not a good way to run a business. And what I find is a lot of people get burnt out long before they put their hand up and ask for help. And that's really sad. It's really sad because what I had was an incredible, like, I could read people, I didn't used to read books. Now I listen to audios and I read books. I actually love reading, but I have to be on holidays and sit down. So that's very rare. I can't read a few pages every night because I forget what I read 3 weeks ago. So don't be worried. I've got my challenges, but the things that I know now that are my superpowers are probably what you're listening to now and going, me too. I'm so good. I can see and feel somebody's emotions even before they know it, right? And so when you keep doing that and you don't make sure that your services are profitable and you don't hand over the reins to someone else, you paint yourself into a corner, and that's not good. Now, I had those skills, but I also had a dad who was, I'm one of 9 kids. You snuck past him because he'd give you a job. What are you doing, Lise? I think, oh, I'm busy. He goes, oh, if he didn't, he'd give you a job. So he was just a delegator, and that's what I learned from him. So it's a unique combination. Now, counting the money, that's a different skill. But getting people in, I think if we can't get people in and they're not excited and they don't have a wonderful time when they're with you, we don't need anyone to count the money because there isn't anybody, right? So I believe that my skill is far more important than the person who counts it. Like an accountant, I get annoyed at times because someone will come to me and they'll say, oh, my accountant said I've got to cut back, so I'm going to stop the coaching. I'm thinking, oh, hang on. So the thing that made you actually profitable and you're going to cut back, as the accountant says, and he goes, well, I thought I could teach you. Like, they come to me, they get a quote, and then they go to the accountant and go, oh, I don't think we can do that. He could help you. And I think, well, how long have you had that accountant? 6 years. Why hasn't he helped you to now? Why is all of a sudden he's going to help you? It's not going to work. He doesn't speak your language. So off you go and come back when you're serious, because I know it doesn't work. We need a specific kind of language that we talk, right? And when our husbands go, oh, just sack her. Why don't you get rid of her? We just can't do that, right? We need to do it in a way that's compassionate and kind and will be clear. And so what's really lovely is I can teach you that before you get burnt out and angry, right? And so your accountant can't teach you this. I don't care. I've never had an accountant do it. A lot of accountants come to me because their client says to them, the numbers get better and better. And then they go, what have you been doing? And they go, I met this woman and this and this and this. And so then the accountant goes, I've got other people. Could you help? And they're really quite interested then, because they go, what have you been doing? This is amazing. Things have changed. And so then they say, what happened? Same happens with product companies too. That's how I find a lot of salons that way, because the product company rep goes, what have you been doing? You couldn't sell a product and now you're selling products. And they say, yeah, this is what happened. So I think what the saddest thing for me is that you don't put your hand up and say, I don't know this stuff. I don't like this stuff. Well, you actually do say you don't like it, but you don't put your hand up for help. And that's really sad, right? Because a lot of people are led to believe that, everybody's the same. Right? And I think anybody can say, it's very easy to say, salon owners out there today, and everyone, I talked to this person the other day and she said it's the same. She can't find a team member and that. So you get this pile of it's shit pile, and everyone's in that pile. What's really hard is to say, somebody knows this, somebody has the answer to this, and that's my personality. I go, someone's got to have the answer. So it's very easy to say it's all the same. It's very difficult to say, I don't get this, and someone can teach me. And that's called pride, right? And so you need to be able to bury your pride, and people can't do that. I couldn't do it in the beginning because I was so worried that he might judge me because I didn't know what an average dollar sale was. I didn't know what a break even was. So all of those things, they just teach them to you. And when you learn them, you think, that's it. Exactly. It's not that complicated. It's not. They make it sound like it's all fancy Nancy. It ain't. I'm telling you, it is not. You can learn this stuff. It's just so cool. And to teach you first, and then you get someone else to do it. But if you don't understand it, you can't hand it over, right? So you've got to understand it. So that's really important. The other thing that I get annoyed with is in Australian culture, if anybody thinks they're a bit special or starts to say, I do this and I'm wonderful, chop that one down, and it's called tall poppy. So I've been in America and I've watched in different settings of people presenting on stage, doing jobs like I do, and I'm blown away with how vocal the audience are, and they've got the hand up and they want to be answered. And I've just struggled my whole life to get someone to speak in a group. Like, they don't want to speak. I do, something wrong with me, clearly. But I was thinking, give me the microphone. I've got a question. I want to ask something. In my hair and beauty space, no, I didn't used to be like that. I had something I wanted to say, but I was scared to say it in case it sounded silly. And every time I spoke, I was blown away that people thought what I said was of interest or value. And I think, really? Wow. So my opinion of myself wasn't that high. And so there lies another problem, right? We think that like it's almost to be a hairdresser or in beauty is going to be sentenced to hard work all your life. It is hard work. I'm not going to say it's not, but the smart ones float to the top. And that's the thing that I think we do wrong. We wait too long. We're burnt out. And then we used to have 4 on team and now we've got 2. And then we've no way, we've got rid of her. And I think, I can't wait. The amount of people that have had 10 or 12 on team and they've gone back to 1 or 2. They're just cooked. They're absolutely cooked. And that's a real shame. Like, we can burn out in our 40s. Like, you've just got to keep reinventing yourself and find out what it is that brings you joy. I love doing this. It just gives me goosebumps to show a woman how she can have a business and a life and have guidelines and boundaries and just say, no, you can't do that here, instead of letting them get away with this and letting them get away with that. And next thing they're late and then they're cutting corners and you think, what is going on? And I know for certain that if you are really clear in what you expect, you attract the right people. Wishy-washy people just attract wishy-washy people, right? So people that are really clear and have a path and a vision, you attract the right people who want to be around someone who loves what they do, know what they're doing, and happy to do it. So, yeah, it's really easy to say it's the same for everybody. And I just have to bite my tongue in the beginning because I'm wanting the person to feel comfortable in my space so that I can build enough rapport to say, actually, I don't agree, right? But yeah, you can't do that day one. So the tall poppy is really a problem. So I think that when people become successful, they just keep it to themselves. And that's a real shame because I think if we were to share more and show what we could do, the world would be a better place. But we don't want to get too big for our boots. It's almost like we don't even want to say it out loud because we're scared it won't last. That's another thing too. People say to me, my team's really good at the moment, but I'm feeling a bit nervous, like we're almost waiting. The other thing I want to address on too is the hardest part is the bit that I found quite easy. That's the communication. That's the hardest part. To be able to say what you mean and mean what you say, never be mean when you say it. I quote that in my book. I just think, say what you mean and mean it. Mean what you say. Don't ever be mean when you say it. There's no point. There's no need for mean. Clear, very different, right? But I think that what we've got to do is we've got to just be really clear. What are our boundaries? What are our guidelines? What do we do? Everything needs a framework. And if the simplest one you can do is what do we do in the beginning? What do we do in the middle? And what do we do at the end? That's a framework, right? So how do we meet the client when she first comes? What happens during the service? And how do we exit the client? So that's a framework. And then you can maybe add a couple of points in the beginning, a couple of points in the middle, and a couple of points at the end. But everything has a framework. And if there's a framework that people can go back to, it's really the solution for everything. So the trouble with our industry is it's women dominant in childbearing years. So they go off and have a baby and don't return. So a lot of them graduate, exit, whatever you want to call, in their 30s. And so that's when they've got all this skill and knowledge, but they didn't give it back, right? I'm a dinosaur. 62 and I'm still around and educating, but most people are gone, right? They get burnt out as well. I don't want to get burnt out. I'm only working with people that I absolutely want to work with. And if we don't align and you don't have good values that are about being kind, about wealth not being money, right, then we're not going to get on. So that's okay. But if your main goal is to have a job and a business that you look at, then you absolutely love it every day. And you're not hiding and you don't want to pick up the phone and you don't want to go in there. Well, we're just not going to get on because it doesn't work like that. You got to love your business. But you also need to get out of the way, right? People can't grow when you're casting a shadow. Like no plant, that's a bit exaggerated. It's very rare for a plant to grow in complete shade. Very rare. Right? Now, some get burnt in the sun, but most plants would be better off with more sun than none, right? So if you're that big gum tree in the middle taking up all the water and taking up all the light, then people around you cannot grow. And the best thing I can do is teach you to step away. Let them fail a bit. Let them develop some initiative. All of those things are super, super important. But when you jump in and help everybody and try and save the day, I know you do it because your intentions are good, but it doesn't work. We even do it with our children today. I listened to, I think her name's Jo Frost, an English woman who teaches families. She said, when do we stop teaching? She said, we've got kids that can't brush their teeth unless it's an electric toothbrush. She said, we've got 4, 5, 6-year-old kids who can't wipe their bottom properly. We've got children that can't sit at a table and eat food, can't manage a knife and fork. She said, we've got to teach them, right? Otherwise, it's not going to work. She said, we've got 4-year-olds that still have a dummy, right? A pacifier is for a brand new baby, but it got my daughter, I think she was 1.5. Yes, she was. She loved it. I had so much trouble getting it off her. I even swapped it for a rabbit. She didn't want the rabbit. I put The rabbit bit her, so there was a problem. I put pepper on it. It was on a chain. I remember reading her bedtime story and I thought I'll just put pepper on it, and it was on the plastic chain. So we're reading the story and she's listening and she picks up the dummy, choo-choo, we used to call it in Italian, pacifier, and put it in her mouth. And she goes, wash it, mummy. Like, not, I don't want it. So what we did was we had, I don't know, we gave it to Sandra, I can't remember, but it was a big job to get it off her at 17 months because I had the twins next and they had the dummies pinned on them. And when I wasn't looking, she'd be over at the twins in the pram and she'd pull the dummy and put it in her mouth. And I'd go, Tess. She goes, oh, just clean it for her, Mum. Like, she was a muppet, that one. She just loved it, right? But at some point, you're going to go in a big bed and you're going to learn to eat and do all these things because children learn from their mistakes, right? So I don't know how many times they'd spill a drink at the table and they go, oh, Lord, you know, but that's what you do. And I thought when I listened to it, I could say exactly the same about our team members. You've got to let them fail. You've got to, you know, have them in an environment where it's okay to fail, not at a paying customer at the same price as you. Like, why would we do that? You know, you can have me with 127 years of experience, or you can have this girl who's just learnt to do the thing and with the same price. Really? It just doesn't work. It's not fair. Not fair to your team member cannot compete with you. Of course they're going to want me. It's the same price. And it's not fair to the clients. Why would they get her or me? Like, of course I've got more knowledge. So there's so many things that we do that just don't make any sense. So when you stay there, when you continue to learn and you actually know how to run a business, that's when life gets really good. That's when you can have holidays and know that they're still making money when you're not there. And if every time you go away, the client numbers drop and dramas happen, they're not ready. And that's not what you do, right? But the secret in everything is train your team. Absolutely. Same as Joe Frost said, train your kids. Teach them how to make a bed. You know, if you can't make your bed, how could you go to school? Because you've got to make your bed before you go to school. So why are you coming home from dropping them off and making their bed? You can do whatever you like in your house. But I do believe that you are robbing people from an opportunity to grow and develop their self-esteem if you keep taking those things off them. So I would love if everyone in our industry stayed around another 10 years. Can you imagine? Be so good because you've done all the hard work, you've done all the skill and learning all the knowledge and everything. You just got to learn how to run a business. Right? And the same as team members. A lot of team members burn out and they go, well, I'm burnt out. I think, yeah, because you're listening to stories all day and you're not actually just doing your job. Like there's only so many divorce stories you can listen to, people. So you need to learn that skill of turning around so that you protect yourself and you don't go home every day going, oh my God, I'm a therapist that's unpaid. No, like you've got to turn that around. I used to say all the time, I never let my clients drain me. No way. Happy conversation or I'm not having it. Simple. They come in, they go, oh my God, I'm so sore, I've got a sore back or whatever they're whinging. I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to hear you whinge all my time. I'd say, that's no good. Terrible. And some people would say, oh, my brother-in-law, he's got a sore back too and he's in hospital or whatever. No, don't go down that path. You just say, that's no good. Poor girl. You know what? You come in here and let me spoil you for the next 90 minutes. You won't ever remember you got a back. You're going to be fine. We are not going to talk about your back. We're going to talk about your hair. Let's go. I just turned it around, made her the focus, but I'm not going, oh, yes, I've got a sore back too. Oh, dreary as. I don't care about all the details. I don't want to know about all the blah, blah, blah. I've got a job to do. It's to make you feel good. It's to lighten your day. Whatever number you come in, I used to say they all come in with a number on them. If they come in as a 6, my job's to send them out as an 8. 2 points. I say I'm not a magician. If someone comes in at a 2, I can send them out as a 4. And every now and again you get lucky and you might bump it up by 4. But that's the game I used to play in my head. This lady's about an 8. She's going out of 10. This lady's a 7. She's going out of 9. That was my job. My job was to let me entertain you. Let me make you feel beautiful. Let me make you look beautiful. And let me make this the best value for money. That's it. So go small and just wow them. That's where the secret is. And when you learn the business side, how to train people, to look after people, to not come in one day with no makeup on because you can't be bothered, to be late. The amount of salon owners that are late, I'm thinking, mate, what an example. No, don't do that. Right? When you show up for you, when you've got a really clear understanding of what your job is, and that's to make leaders in your business. Your job as a leader is create leaders. And so that means you need to step out of the way and let them step up. It's the best thing ever. Just when I get the salon owner to step back, the team step up. And if she happened to have employed the wrong team, they're not going to step up and we're going to step them off. So, yeah, I just wish she'd hang around because the joy is when you get a few more grey hairs. Maybe not as many as me, but you just step into your wisdom and then you step away. So that's a bit sad for me. I hope that was helpful. I hope you're inspired to go, yes. Yeah, I just need to learn. I just need to ask. And if it's not me, find out who it is. Somebody has the answer for the problem that you have today. It's your job to find that person. So I hope that was helpful. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye for now.
So if listening to my story felt a little too familiar, you don't have to keep trying to figure it out on your own. I would love to spend 20 minutes with you. I want to hear what's happening in your salon, in your life, and maybe I can help. You can find a link in the show notes to book a time that suits you. And I promise you that I will not waste your time. You will leave the call with more clarity than you came in with. That's my promise to you. I look forward to talking with you soon.